The following is a special holiday presentation of ESPN on ABC.
Such a tremendous tradition. You know, the beginning of a new year. I mean, it's almost like a rebirth.
For me and my family, my biggest memory is waking up and getting to watch the parade together.
It was when I was a kid and I was 9 or 10, and I just remember how incredible it was.
Since I was a little girl, I've been watching, and so to actually be in it and be participating, I'm just going to take it all in.
My big hope for this year is that everybody come together.
Happy New Year, everyone. Have a great 2017.
Welcome to ABC's coverage of the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda as we wish you Happy New Year from Pasadena, California. Hannah Storm, John Anderson, John Neighbor with you for the next 2 hours on this Monday, January 2nd. Hundreds of thousands camping out overnight, young and old, as we say, fight on, and let's get this show underway.
And the world-famous home of the Tournament of Roses, please say hello to the 2017 Tournament of Roses president, Brad Rutledge.
Good morning, Rose Parade fans. You're just seconds away from experiencing the most magnificent New Year spectacular of them all. The Rose Parade presented by Honda. So Happy New Year and go Roses!
Millions of viewers in over 200 countries and territories around the world, the streets of Pasadena are filled with fans ready to experience the thrill of a lifetime. Come celebrate Beauty at its best with America's New Year's celebration. It all starts here. It all begins now. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the 2017 Rose Parade, presented by Honda.
Whiteman Air Force Base, a tradition here at the Rose Parade, the B-2 Spirit, the stealth bomber, which will be swooping past the Rose Bowl game later today. Penn State and USC.
In today's Rose Parade celebration.
Hannah Storm and John Anderson with you, and that is always an incredible sight.
And what's remarkable is it's going to float around, fly until game time. It'll just stay in the air and refuel as needed. Well, if you are the presenting sponsor, you get to go to the head of the line. Home blooms forever. This float from America Honda that starts the year off with a message of optimism and renewal. The float celebrating the cultures of the U.S. and Japan and the cooperative relationship they share. This is exemplified by the riders, 20 high school students from the Fukushima region of Japan, which was badly damaged in 2011 by an earthquake and tsunami. Students part of Honda's Tomodachi Cultural Exchange Program, here to learn, meet American students, do community service, and Honda justifiably proud of its involvement in this program, which will build relationships and friendships, understanding between the Japanese and American student for years to come. The float features origami cranes, emblematic of healing, hope, and resilience, and the mythical phoenix, of course, a symbol of renewal. And what's really fun on those things is the float. Well, there's the big origami rose that's rotating through there, but they also have these synchronized rotating roses at the front and brilliant butterflies as they come through.
There they are. Beautiful.
And kind of a perpetual motion looking thing as they go through, and they make the big turn and head down Colorado Boulevard.
Good way to get started as John and I are stepping aside from our sports center duties for the day and happy to trade some football for flowers, although it's not New Year's Day.
No, it's January 2nd, and I think then that makes New Year's Day like a prep day,
right.
And then the real year, 2017, starts today.
Okay, here's the reason why. Back in 1893, which tells you a little bit about how they hold the tradition at this parade, at the time people would drive their horses and they would hitch them up in front of the churches. Well, New Year's Day was on a Sunday that year. They didn't want to disturb the worshipers by having a parade go by and having the horses act up, hence the rule. Never on a Sunday. That's why we didn't have the parade yesterday on New Year's Day. That's why we have it today on a Monday.
And that's why we are here. And you and I, we are sort of the Will Rogers people. Not everybody can be hero. We're just going to sit on the side of the curb, watch the parade go by, and we will clap.
This group of Marines comes together just once a year here in Pasadena, all combat-trained Marines from different commands on the West Coast. It's the United States Marine Corps West Coast Composite Band. As we say Semper Fi and send our gratitude to our military and their families around the world. As we celebrate 2017, the Rose Parade presented by Honda.
Made me, the all-new Civic hatchback from Honda.
To achieve
The 2017 Rose Parade, presented by Honda and the all-new Honda Clarity Fuel Cell, and in part by Northwestern Mutual. Northwestern Mutual, we help you live life differently.
And we welcome you back to the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda. As we take a look at the Theme Award winner here, the Donate Life Float. Theme Award Excellence in Presenter Parade Theme, echoes of success, beautiful float, beautiful message. In grief and tragedy come renewal and joy. Donate Life has seen its message of organ donation grow exponentially over the last 14 years as they've participated in the Rose Parade. Hundreds of personal stories in the float from the recipients like young Zion Harvey, 7-year-old boy, received a double hand transplant. He is sitting at the front of the canoe myriad of donors who are represented in the floorographs on the sails. There's young Zion waving away. As always, wonderful part of the Donate Life float Teammates in Life are the floorographs, 60 of them on those sails, showing the faces of toddlers, soldiers, all manner of people, all manner of ages, all walks of life, united in the gift of life that they gave others. There you see the walkers alongside the float, living donors, showing that there you see them after you donate, help the recipients, that you too go on and still have a full and wonderful life and a full heart from your donation. Behind them, the Martin Luther King Junior High School Band, Kings of Halftime, from Lithonia, Georgia, eastern suburb of Atlanta. Established in 2001, had no instruments, facilities, even a school, and now the band has grown from 30 members to more than 200, and they're making their debut this year here at the Rose Parade. Hit it, kids, it's all you. And as the band plays on, we welcome in the man who welcomes us to his town of Pasadena every year, Mr. John Neighbor. Good day, sir.
Good day, John. Happy New Year +1 to everybody at home. You know, last month may have been the wettest December in record here in Pasadena, but the people of Pasadena aren't worried because we believe the weather will always cooperate. You heard Hannah describe earlier the official reason the parade doesn't take place on a Sunday. For those of us here in town, we like the simpler answer. If we don't mess with God's day, He won't mess with ours. And so far, the tradition seems to be working. The last time rain landed on this parade was in 2006. Prior to that, not once in 50 years. I'd say that's a little bit more than luck, wouldn't you? Hannah.
Well done, John. And yes, we would agree. And we're happy for today. Temperatures in the 40s, very pleasant out here. This is the winner of the Governor's Award for Best Depiction of Life in California, the Downey Rose Float Association Parade. And the theme is the Gold Rush, their 65th year in the Rose Parade, the first one coming 104 years ago. And this is a city, in case you don't know, about 20 miles south of Pasadena, depicting the historical event of the discovery of gold at Sutter's Mill back in 1848, which triggered the Great California Gold Rush. It's been reimagined as an amusement park ride, one of 6 self-built floats in this parade, entirely designed, constructed, decorated by volunteers from Downey. They raised all the money for the materials, their most ambitious float ever, particularly engineering that working roller coaster. They've been working on it every evening, every weekend day since August. A labor of love that we are all enjoying today, the spectacular Rose Parade, which continues after this with the sweepstakes winner. Welcome back to the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda. And once again, Dole is the sweepstakes winner for the most beautiful, outstanding floral presentation and design. For the 6th time in 7 years, this float has won the most prestigious pride of the Tournament of Roses. Dole Foods beginning in the 19th century in what was then known as the Kingdom of Hawaii, and for its 7th Rose Parade float, returning to its Hawaiian roots. This is King Kamehameha, the inside of his cape lining, just to give you an idea of the detail on this float, lined with dehydrated banana slices glued on one by one. We watched the process the other day. His clothing is of chopped marigold and winter berries. His skin is covered with clover seed. Every inch, again, covered with flowers and other materials. And for the first time ever, we mentioned sweepstakes winner. Now they get an official trophy, John.
Pewter trophy goes to the sponsor, so Dole has that, and then there's a silver trophy. I'm not sure which one technically is the replica. It stays permanently at the tournament house, so they get this. They take it home. They have it for a whole year. Hannah and I don't know if it's like the Stanley Cup, if employees get to take it home for a day. All we know is we have it here. We're going to fill it with ice, Prosecco, and you should stick around for the second hour of the Rose Parade.
Sounds like a plan.
Just saying.
Congratulations to the folks at Fiesta once again. Spectacular float. 50% of the flowers on that float from the great state of Hawaii. Well, Rotary International has encouraged humanitarian service among business leaders the world over for the last century. Their ranks boast 1.2 million members, and they're about to receive one more, a philanthropic creature with scales, 2 wings, and one really big heart.
My name is Michelle Lofthouse, and I am the very proud designer of the Rotary float this year.
Rotary is a community-based organization that has international implications. So we do good works not only locally, but internationally. Each year we get together and we decide, okay, what thrust do we want to have? Well, this year was easy. It's the 100th anniversary of the Rotary Foundation. And so all our good works are done through our foundation. And it was founded in 1917 by the 6th president of Rotary International, Arch Klump. Hence we call this particular float with the dragon figure Archie.
It's always fun to design something that's a little out of this world and a little on the fantasy realm. I think my favorite things are being able to walk around him, look at the face, and then appreciate the detail on the scales and even down to the toenails. Sometimes the most unlikely things can say the most simple in messages. I think everybody can identify with the baby dragon who's got packed up for a very large world tour and is doing good in the world.
And you see live the Rotary Rose Parade float. Princess Award winner for most beautiful float 35 feet and under, which means as wonderful thing as that looks, that's a little bitty one. That's just a little float. It's 20 feet high, 18 feet wide, and 35 feet long, and that counts as a small one. But there you see Archie got some CO2, some smoke coming out of his nostrils, and the eyes blinking, probably because he's got, you know, steam going into his nostrils. More than 250,000 flowers used to decorate that gentle dragon, and the world at his feet. There's the world. If you look at that world, clear sky. A little cloudy here, but clear skies in that one. Status ocean. 2 colors of straw flower on the use of split peas, parsley, white everlast, black onion seed, orange lentils, and all of that detail done by hand, painstakingly, hour after hour, for the folks in the Rotary doing good in the world as they celebrate their 100th anniversary of the Rotary Foundation. Big day for parade, big day for football.
Ah, yes.
Today we have the Outback Bowl on ABC right after the parade. 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 2, 8, and 14 squaring off. It's number 17, Florida. Iowa, here last year for the Rose Bowl. Raymond James Stadium. Where? Tampa. You got it. Also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. We will return with more coverage of the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda after this message and a word from your ABC stations.
Welcome back to the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda. Hannah Storm, John Anderson, John Neighbor, and this is Trader Joe's. 50 years ago, opening their first store right here in Pasadena on Arroyo. And this is an energetic and colorful float like usual. In fact, this is a winner of the tournament special trophy for exceptional merit in multiple categories because you can see all the animation, all of the moving parts. There's always a great sense of humor. They Usually folks from Trader Joe's draw the concept of their float up on a napkin and hand it to the float builders and say, have at it. And they make changes up until the very end. And this is a big one. It's 75 feet long, 24 feet high. As you can see, it's a time machine traveling through Trader Joe's, past, present, and future. The riders are Trader Joe's employees from all over the country, and there's so much to look at. Whirring animation, the fruits and vegetables. And here's the funny thing. When you have a fruit and a vegetable depicted on a float, you never actually use the fruit and vegetable to decorate it. So you see those orange slice wheels turning there? Those are created with flaxseed, straw flour, and orange lentil seeds, and white lima beans in there on the details.
Yeah, because that'd be a gigantic orange.
Yeah, that's a good
to
one.
slice that up to
That's
make the
good.
wheels.
Yes, John.
Now, is that what you took?
Deduction.
Is that what you took when you went to the original Trader Joe's with your
When I
daughter?
always buy appetizers at Trader Joe's because you just warm them up and you got a party.
But you went to the original one not long ago with your daughter.
With my daughter who goes to USC, and she said, Mom, there's a Trader Joe's right here next to campus. Well, we did end up in Pasadena. As the crow flies, it was close. Driving this train is the fearless flyer, split pea and parsley face, seaweed and pineapple hat, and he's got some really cool, you can't see him, but he has some very hipster socks on here. And this is just a remarkable feat of engineering. All 16 wheels and gears. Look at them. They're all turning independently. It's a lot of fun. There's a vibe about Trader Joe's, the float builders were telling us, that really pushes them to excel. And you see it in two parts, and then at the end there's a little satellite coming up. It's a compass to guide Trader Joe's forward. And that's an ATV underneath there. But again, as per the rules, everything has to be covered with flowers, plants, seeds, and the like. Every inch of every float. And you can imagine the man hours, some 10,000 man hours, all of it volunteers to construct these floats, to put them together, and to glue things on one lentil at a time.
Right, because you get hundreds of people, and you work around the clock here. You can add up the man hours, but it's so labor intensive in the last days before they come out. It's fantastic to go in and watch them working. Rolling down the road now, Kiwanis International, Children's Dreams, the World's Potential. Many of the floats in the parade sponsored by corporations, obviously some by cities, and then there are numerous service organizations that build floats each year. Kiwanis International, focused on youth programs and community service for more than 100 years, and their floats celebrate their focus on children. Front bare there, body trim Forden pups. I don't have any of those in my home at the moment. Gold mums, bows, purple status, nose made of coffee, eyes white navy beans and black beans, and then you go back and see there's a beautiful elephant, pink elephant back there with pink carnations, various hues, and a giraffe. Well, here's a little closer shot of our elephant. Pups with white everlasting and black seaweed eyes. Keeping an eye on him there. First Kiwanis Club on the West Coast formed in 1917. Start their centennial celebrations this year, borrowing from John Neighbor. I love that. 2017 plus one. As we sit here.
So you're writing your Christmas cards, right? And you have your return address. How can it be from Niceville? Isn't that great?
Nobody would believe it for me.
Niceville, Florida. Not true, my friend. This is the Niceville High School Marching Band. It's a small Gulf Coast city in the Panhandle, about 50 miles east of Pensacola.
think there's a lot of pressure on you if you're from Niceville?
Yeah,
Right? Like you can't
gotta
get
be
ornery
nice.
with people, you can't snap at anybody, you got to have boundless patience.
By the way, just randomly, they sold 64,000 candy bars to raise enough money to charter a 747 to come here from Elgin Air Force Base.
Oh
How
my
funny is that?
goodness.
Yeah, awesome. Well done.
Look at that monkey. BDK Capital, Sing Poly affiliate, the Monkey King Journey to Success. The Monkey King, Sun Wukong. If you go to the back, see, he was imprisoned behind the waterfall. He was a mischievous, he was a bad monkey. But then he came out, redeemed as the guardian and a strong, noble leader of the monkeys. And you take a look at the little monkey in front swinging around there. I am always amazed when I go, what do you think the monkey's made of? And you know how to make a monkey. Like you could make a monkey float at home.
I could. If I had pampas grass,
I
could make a monkey.
and some palm fiber, bang,
Yeah,
you got a
right?
monkey.
Little lunaria petal there and the whites of the eyes, right? That's some serious parade knowledge.
I benefit from your knowledge the entire 2 hours. The beauty is once you're a redeemed monkey, you get to roll into the heavenly peach garden where the tree bears fruit only every 3,000 years, so you got to time it right. You don't go to Trader Joe's and just pick those suckers up. But if you eat the peach, it confers immortality. You live for another 3,000 years.
Wow.
Yeah, make a lot of friends.
John, you're full of information.
That's why we're here.
This is the American Armenian Rose Float. Past President's Award winner for most creative design and use of floral and non-floral materials. This was actually really challenging to build because it was based on a painting. So the painting was handed to the float builders. It's a painting by noted contemporary Armenian artist Savada Grigorian. It's called Childhood Dream. And so they had to use a distinctive two-dimensional painting as inspiration. And as float builders, they had to get the characters right and balance both the front and the back side so that all could enjoy it. The three children and their horse are riding down from Mount Ararat, where Noah's Ark came to rest. It's
Beautiful.
a national symbol for the Armenian people. And this with a unique look. Right here on ABC, down Colorado Boulevard, the parade traveling all the way down 5 miles. And at the end, after all that marching and all that riding, you get an In-N-Out burger if you're here.
If you're here.
If you're at home, just sit back and enjoy much more to come here on the 2017 Rose Parade, presented by Honda.
Happy New Year, everybody, and what a better way to spend it than the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda. Now, the longest-running participant in the Rose Parade is the city of Los Angeles, which has been entering floats for 119 consecutive years. And this year, the float is all about the campaign for the 2024 Olympic Summer Games. Try to bring that to L.A. for a third time. So this would seem to be a really good opportunity to bring in our Olympian, John Nabel.
Thanks a lot, John. Yes, LA is all excited about the prospect of re-hosting the Olympics. Two of the greatest advocates are on the front of this float. It's Bart Connor and Nadia Comaneci. Of course, Nadia, the first perfect 10 in Olympic gymnastics. Bart, 2 gold medals himself. Guys, good to see you.
Hey, John.
Hey, your wedding in Romania was a state affair. Compare the brouhaha to this.
It's hard to beat this. This is the granddaddy. We miss having you up here as a fellow Olympic medalist, John.
Nadia, tell me, how's the view from there?
It's excellent. I'm so happy to be here. You know, I competed many years ago, and I'm hoping that Olympics will come back to Los Angeles in 2024.
Fabulous. Your son Dylan is marching alongside. What's it like for him?
You know, he's a rock climber, so who knows? You know, they just introduced rock climbing into the Olympics, so maybe they'll be a part of the Olympics someday in that sport. Who knows, John?
Tell us the truth. Why are you so supportive of LA as a city, and what do you think our chances are?
Well, as you well know, LA has hosted the games twice before, in 32 and 1984, and they were magnificent successes both times. So we think the game should come back to LA in 2024. And what an honor to be on this incredible float with our fellow Olympians, Paralympics athletes, and even some future Olympians. There's enormous support from the city and the public sector. Everybody everybody wants to have the games back in LA, so we should do it.
We certainly should. Thank you, Bart. Thank you, Nadia. You know, I'm also a big supporter of bringing the games back to LA. I love the Olympians in this parade. 3 of them were named Grand Marshal, and at the official ceremony at Tournament House, I went up to congratulate them, and I realized that the average number of medals on that stage just went down. Here they are.
That's
really
saying a lot.
Self-deprecating for a guy who's got 4 gold medals and a silver medal. By the way, September 13th is when we'll find out who wins the bid for the 2024 Summer Olympics.
3 Grand Marshals, quite an honor here. Greg Louganis, Olympic diver, 4 golds, as John referenced, a silver. He won his gold medals here at the 1984 LA Olympics. Also, of course, in '88 in Seoul after winning a silver in Montreal. And the first openly gay Grand Marshal of the Rose Parade. He has spoken a lot about being an inspiration to young kids who have been bullied. So making an impact in so many ways beyond the athletic field of play.
A wonderful story from him the other night at the President's Ball, talking about him and what his mission is now. Riding behind him, Allison Felix. Okay, as a track and field guy, that's my favorite. Olympic sprinter, the most decorated female athlete in track and field history. She has 6 gold medals and 3 silver medals.
And Janet Evans, of course, Olympic swimmer, 4 golds, 5 overall. She broke 7 world records, competed in 3 Olympics, 88, 92, 96, and famously handed off the torch in the opening ceremonies to Muhammad Ali in Atlanta. And Janet Evans, part of the bid committee here for the Olympics. We'll know on September 13th, 2017. The vote will take place in Lima, Peru. So we'll find out, will it be LA, Budapest, Hungary, or Paris, France?
And you know her so well, she never stops smiling. She could be from Niceville. But she is, Janet, right? She's always smiling, so
Some other
bubbly.
people who never stop smiling.
And then
here.
I was going to say, and then you have the folks that are, I mean, that is, smiling is their stock in trade. The Royal
And waving.
Court float.
This is the Rose Queen and her quarter princesses, charming and accomplished ambassadors of the Tournament of Roses. She is the 99th Rose Queen, so congratulations to Victoria Castellanos, a 17-year-old senior at Temple City High School. That tiara that she's wearing, more than 6 carats of diamonds. It's worn during official events. So you don't get to wear that to prom, apparently. It's kept locked in a display case at Tournament House.
But that would look lovely. And if you are a Rose Bowl game Hall of Fame inductee, then you get a black blazer emblazoned on the crest with the Rose Bowl game logo.
You were at that luncheon. You hosted the Hall of Fame luncheon yesterday.
I got back about 5 minutes before the parade started. That first one, Bobby Bell, the great Kansas City Chief, but played twice in the Rose Bowl, University of Minnesota. There's Bobby and his Ricky Irvin's in there as well in the front seat from USC. Art Spander sitting with Bobby in the back seat. Longtime writer, has covered been at 63 straight Rose Bowls and covered 53 of them. And then Tommy Prothrow's cousin there in honor of the great Oregon State and UCLA coach.
Congratulations to the HOFers and to Penn State later today. The Nittany Lions play USC in the 103rd Rose Bowl, the 4th for Penn State. Their only winning appearance was against Oregon in 1995. Their first time here as a Big Ten champ, and they've won it again. Here's a Penn State band. That's your Big Ten chance at 11-2. They've won 9 straight coming into this matchup against USC as bowl season rolls on today. Starting with a Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic between 13-0, number 15 Western Michigan, and number 8 Wisconsin. That's at 1 o'clock Eastern, following our parade coverage. At 5, the granddaddy of them all, the Rose Bowl game presented by Northwestern Mutual. And what a matchup of the number 9 Trojans, number 5 Nittany Lions. Then wrap up the day with number 14 Auburn and number 7 Oklahoma in the All-State Sugar Bowl. All 3 games will be streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. And we just saw the Hall of Famers go by, and the theme of the parade, Echoes of Success, which is about the support of others. We now visit with the wife of one of the Hall of Famers, and John Neighbor. John?
Thank you, Hannah. I'm here with Pamela Bell, the wife of Bobby Bell, who just came by. We all were taking pictures. Pamela, your husband has earned so many honors. I mean, a national championship, Outland Trophy, Rose Bowl victory, Hall of Fame in the Professional Football Hall of Fame. What does the induction into the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame mean to him?
Well, you know, for Bobby, coming from a small town in North Carolina, this was the first game that his mom and dad were able to see him play in college. And to be at the biggest stadium, you know, the biggest game, I mean, it was so exciting for him. And then to come back 56 years later to then be inducted into the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame just meant the world to him.
He looked like he's having a good time. Did he say anything when he found out the good news?
Actually, he cried. He was just so touched.
Well, we're touched, and I hope you're enjoying the day.
It's beautiful. And Pasadena is an amazing place. I mean, the people are so nice.
Wonderful. Well, Happy New Year, +1 to everybody, and congratulations to your family.
He cried when he found out, and yesterday at the luncheon when he accepted, he cried again. So clearly something meaningful to Bobby Bell. Here's your Queen's Award winner, most effective use and display of roses. That seems to me to be, it's not the sweepstakes trophy, but that's the one I'd like to have. Miracle Grow, everything's coming up roses. 25 butterflies pulling the carriage. There are 31 butterflies overall. We know that because we sent my daughter Katie to count, and she did it twice. Lovely carriage. It's holding 4 Rose Queens, and Ty Pennington driving that, and then the carriage wheel, as you look at that up close, straw flower, coconut and white rice, walnut and white beans there in the hubcap, onion seed on the tires. Hoping you don't get a flat there because those just are not in stock everywhere as we go through. And we got the Rose Queens, as we said, from 67, 95, 2007, and 2015 riding in the carriage. So back riding in the parade again, not on the Queen's float, but certainly treated just as well with that carriage. It's the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda. Hannah, John, and John back after this.
Keep the dream alive with the Honda Accord. The car that made Car and Driver's 10 Best list a record 31 times. With features like Pandora compatibility and multi-angle rear view camera standard. The Honda Accord.
The fans at the Rose Parade are loving this. The USC marching Trojans, dominant force in the Rose Bowl, 24 wins in 33 appearances, and they are back to play Penn State. Football is fun again at USC. Fight on.
By the way, I could listen to that song all afternoon. I get goosebumps, I dig the sunglasses, and now I'm really confused, though, because it should be Saturday.
It's Monday.
When I hear that song.
It's Monday. Rose Bowl later today, Penn State, USC, 103rd Rose Bowl.
Northwestern Mutual Animation Award, Best Animation and Motion, Waves of Hopes. This charming, carefree day at the beach, inspired by 7-year-old Edie Gilger, who was diagnosed with neuroblastomas in infancy. That's her pounding in amongst, cannonballing in amongst the dolphins, covered in blue status and coconut underneath them. And not just a wonderfully, visually magnificent float, but the story here with Northwestern Mutual, Hannah, is it can't be beat.
Edie Gilger, she's diagnosed in infancy, as you said, with neuroblastoma. Her mother was also diagnosed with neuroblastoma. And the same doctor who treated Alex Scott of Alex's Lemonade Stand, which has left such an incredible legacy, raising money for pediatric cancer research, the same doctor, inspired by Alex's fight, continued her research, which was funded by Alex's Lemonade Stand and Northwestern Mutual. And Dr. Yael Mosé successfully treated both Edie and her mother, Emily. It's an incredible story. And the folks at Northwestern Mutual is something that means a lot to us. We lost our colleague, John Saunders, this year, who had been so instrumental in raising money for Jimmy V, a foundation for cancer research. The folks at Northwestern Mutual donated $100,000 in John Saunders' name. So we are personally very grateful for that gift.
A lot of people invested in a lot of ways with what's happened in Northwestern Mutual and their parade entry here in 2017.
Well, we're so grateful, as are many others, for the decades of work by this man, Bill Flynn, and he's retiring. We're sad to see him go, but so happy for all the gifts that he has given us. Just an extraordinary steward of what is essentially a volunteer organization here. This is something like 80,000 volunteer hours just from the folks at the Tournament of Roses. Just a great friend, great help to all of us here at ABC.
And we tend to sit here and just be awed for these 2 hours, and sometimes you forget not just what we talk about, then the man hours and the float, but the organization year-round and what they do. And Bill has been in charge for 3 decades, and I think what is most amazing in those 3 decades is this is the first time he has ever ridden in the parade. I would think that if I was the executive director and the CEO, I would be, maybe I'm selfish, I'd be there every year. I feel like if the mayor can come and the president can come, that as the executive director of the organization, the Tournament of Roses, I should have a place every year, not Bill's style.
Well, thankfully, he's a lot more selfless than you, and he was running the show from the sidelines, along with all of his white suitors, as they're named, all the folks who serve on those 31 Rose Parade committees, wear white suits and run the show around town. And Bill Flynn, we will very much miss you. This is his favorite band because both his parents and grandparents are members of the Salvation Army. He's a conductor of the Salvation Army's Pasadena Tabernacle Band. They come from all over the U.S. and Canada. 180 members, just one rehearsal together before performing today.
That can play a lot of different places. Need be.
We'll return with more coverage of the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda after this message and a word from your ABC station. This year's theme is Echoes of Success.
And to me, it's really fitting that I am involved in this year because there's so many people who have contributed to my success.
We turn a lot to coaches, we turn a lot to our families, and sometimes I don't think we realize that people like Greg and athletes inspire us to do incredible things. They inspire us to keep going in the face of adversity.
I know for myself, I've been inspired by Janet, by Greg, and I know what that can do.
Success to me is really being happy and joyful about what you're doing.
And we welcome you back to the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda. And like the Grand Marshals, we are three: Hannah Storm, John Neighbor, John Anderson. And it has been a little cloudy, but it is not raining because the Tournament of Roses does tradition like nobody else. And one of those traditions is we don't do Sunday.
We don't do Sunday, so it's Monday, January 2nd. We wish you Happy New Year. Among the many traditions, every single inch of every single one of the 44 floats that you see today has to be covered with some kind of flower, but they all have roses. 40 million blossoms total. And if you put together all the roses that were bought on Valentine's Day in the United States, and you took a quarter of those, that's the amount of roses.
I was told there'd be no math, but that seems like a lot.
That is.
Seems like a great
How about
deal.
I got another one for you?
What do you got?
All right, your local florist.
Yes.
All right, as many flowers as they would use in a year. That's on one float here
On
today.
one float.
That's it. You want more?
No, I want to see more floats.
You know what?
We don't need to talk about. We love to talk about floats. We should say dog, see dog. Talk float, see float. What do you think?
There you go. We have traded football for flowers. We have traded Sports Center for a day, and happy to do it to bring you this.
Happy to do it for because they can't do the parade at midnight. So I like the day part much better. As we look at floats, the UPS store, books bring us together. UPS store brings us Literary Giraffe, in a tribute to their involvement with Toys for Tots program. Locally owned stores have raised more than $3 million for Toys for Tots. Hence, that giraffe you saw had 3 bow ties on. And then there's a Marine bear there. The U.S. Marine Corps Reserve runs the Toys for Tots program, and he's in his Marine blues. And this is a tricky task, as I have learned. Only been here 3 years on the parade, but I have found out that blue is the most difficult color for float decorators. They scour the fields for blue status, for the blossoms, with just the proper hue. And then when you get up there, he has chrysanthemum fur, which is much easier, a Nigella jacket, and a rice belt. So take a look at the blue status, and if you're going to talk status, you need a man of status, and you need John Neighbor. John?
Thanks so much, John. You were talking about how hard it is to find blue. There's only a couple of plants that do it, but blue status, sometimes called sea lavender, Limonium sinuatum, I think is the official Greek name, or Latin name. Anyway, it's a hardy annual plant with big, thick stems and very short petals on the leaves that retain their color when they're dried. They're so tightly bunched, you use scissors and you have to process them by hand. I'm holding about 8 ounces of these petals. It took a volunteer 8 hours to make this much blue status, and it only covers about 1.5 feet of a float. So you can imagine all the work that goes into making these floats so gorgeous, and that's why the float builders call this liquid gold. Happy New Year.
He's just throwing it all over the streets.
That's in a day's work. Yeah, you don't want to spill that little cup of blue status, do you?
I would think not. Look at the size of Walter the giraffe. 42 feet high, and in addition to status here in this one, California-grown marigolds for the giraffe spot orange that's in this float. Striking.
Well, nothing quite says New Year's like surfing dogs. So here we are, the Lucy Pet Foundation float, and you can hear the crowd cheering for this one. They've been waiting. This is the Extraordinaire Trophy winner for Most Spectacular, and it is a Guinness Book of World Records confirmed winner of the longest float ever at 125 feet and the heaviest ever at 148,200 pounds. Heaviest float in parade history, longest in parade history, and this is our onboard camera. Look at this. Surfing dogs, there are several of them.
Right, our 8 surfing dogs are record. It's got to be close.
You know, they went all over the United States and actually auditioned dogs for this. So they scoured the country for the best surfers. And they have a wave machine underneath the beautiful, you can see the floral decoration sort of gets lost in all of this, all the fish and whatnot. There's a wave generated every 2 seconds there, a wave machine.
Yeah, the float is magnificent if you can take your eyes off the surfing dogs, but it's hard because they're surfing dogs.
Okay, so they got here at about 2 in the morning. Actually, they had trouble getting the float to the parade site because of turning corners. You can imagine how hard
125
feet
feet long. Absolutely.
And so they got here. They got a permit from the city of Pasadena, and they hooked up to a fire hydrant.
Right, filled her up. Yep.
And they actually have a heating mechanism. See where that little canopy is underneath there, and they heated up the water.
Right, it
comes
out of the hydrant at 42 degrees. They warm it up to about 68.
Because you wouldn't want the dogs to be chilly.
No, but they seem like they're enjoying themselves, right? I mean, that's all. And you see at the top there, the little woody wagon. The smaller dogs, that's how they get transported end to end. It appears some of the dogs, they just stay on the board and we push them back.
This is just a monstrous undertaking, as you can imagine. It's a mechanical marvel, and there is a 110-degree turn here. Here we go. Right? And so this is where the two streets meet, where Orange Grove turns on to Colorado Boulevard. This is very tricky. There was a similar float, not this big. Again, this is Guinness Book of World Records float a few years ago, and they flew in the same spotter and the same driver to try to navigate this really tricky turn.
Made it no problem.
Yeah, they made it.
Piece of
well
cake.
Done. Wow.
And then we also saw there, that was Sully and Coppertone. That's the name of the dog. Yeah.
By the way, this is it. Tim Estes, the float builder, said never again. We are never trying this again, ever. What fun. This is the Jifu Shoigyu Green Band. Over the last 9 years, the Green Band Association bringing different marching bands from Japan. Always a charity concert here, too, raising funds, and this year helping to raise money for the victims of the recent wildfires in Tennessee and the latest earthquake in Fukushima. Green Band. One more time, you're welcome, America. An encore of the Surfing Dogs. Boy, does that say New Year's. Happy New Year from Pasadena. Nick is back. Should be fun. Did you know, John, there is a Bachelor Fantasy League this year?
That's true?
Yes.
On ESPN.com,
Yes, it is. I think Mike Golick wins that. That's my
I'm taking Aaron Rodgers.
All right. This is football. This is Foothill High School marching band, the first band from the Clark County School District to ever be selected to participate in the Tournament of Roses. And so we say welcome.
No?
And this is the Shriners Float. The theme, anything is possible. We've seen him often. This is their 7th Rose Parade, Fezzy the Bear. He's the mascot for the Shriners Hospitals for Children and provides comfort to sick children around the country. The ship is extraordinary. It's made from yellow flax with yellow fine-cut straw flour. It's sort of the workhorse flour. Comes in a variety of colors. It's dried and put into blenders and then glued onto the float, accented with white mums, white fine ground rice. Those shutters are hot pink fine cut status, insets of dark pink fine cut status. Shriners Hospitals for Children, 22 nonprofit hospitals doing incredible work all across North America, and a new hospital opening in Pasadena in June of this year. And this seagull, meticulously put together with white carnation petals. So imagine deconstructing these flowers and gluing this on one petal at a time. So labor intensive, as are so many of the small, tiny details, just part of what makes this day and this parade so magical. Shriners organization beginning back in 1870 and opened their first children's hospital in 1922. You see the stands here. Now, a lot of folks along the parade route, and there are hundreds of thousands, had to camp out since last night at about 6 o'clock in 40-degree temperatures. But if you're a bigwig, if you're a VIP...
if you know some folks.
Yeah, you actually get a seat. And there's no more bigwig here than the guy we call the unofficial mayor of Pasadena.
Right.
John Neighbor. John?
Thanks, Anna. Thanks, John. You know, the best seat in the house is in the reviewing grandstands, but underneath is the hospitality, as you might expect. They've got crispy cream donuts, wonderful coffee, water, juice, etc., hot cocoa, and at the end of the day, perhaps the most treasured asset is the wonderful hospitality they provide here in the various porta potties. Fully appointed. Well, that's about all the time I got to go. I don't got to go like that, but I got to go. John, you take over.
I think that's a first porta potty shot that we've had during the Rose Parade. But that's the underbelly of what makes this
And you
place
notice
fun.
he was more than happy to throw away the blue status, but he didn't dare toss out a Krispy Kreme.
And you would split a Krispy Kreme with me, so we split one after.
Not a morning person, a lot of calories, got to watch my weight. Because you never know when I might end up on The
Bachelor. You won't,
which
but
is
that's
probably
okay.
not going to happen. Season 21 of The Bachelor starts tonight. Keep your television dial right where it is here on ABC. Two-time runner-up. So we got a two-time runner-up, Nick Viall, handing out roses this time. The Bachelor, the float, echoes of love. Hannah informs me Nick is he's a notorious bachelor. Is that correct?
I did not use the word notorious.
What was the word?
You made that
Okay, what's
up.
the word?
I'll say, you know, it's a little edgy. It's a little controversial. It's a little. It's going to be fun. It's going to be entertaining. You know, third time's the charm for Nick. He's in New York, by the way, promoting the show.
He's
not even on the float.
Not on the float. There's a lizard.
There you go. There's controversy right there.
There's a lizard on the float, but not a bachelor, which, you know, make of that what you will as he goes through. There are 8 bachelorettes there, right? They're just, you know, hopefuls. There's the lizard right there. Yeah, it doesn't look anything like me. Different guy. So there are 2 lynx, which are different than cougars.
Okay, just stop it right there.
Every year every year you just want this float to go by, don't you?
I do, because you have that mischievous gleam in your eye, and it's,
Well, when you're like me, when you're a purveyor of love, when you are all about, you know, heart and the human spirit, sometimes you're just moved.
That's you, a purveyor of love. Yep, that's you in a nutshell.
Coast to coast Mac. So, it's a long season. There is a fantasy league, by the way. We didn't just make that up, right?
ABC, I apologize on behalf of my partner, John. There is a fantasy league.
Correct. Listen.
And you can actually go on ESPN.com for the first time and participate in the Bachelor Fantasy League, which I think is a great idea.
Listen, I go way back. Chris Harrison and I used to work in Sports Reporters in Oklahoma together. And I ended up on SportsCenter, and he ended up on The Bachelor. I don't know which one of those is a win for who, but I'm very invested with these folks.
Also, Trisha and Ryan Sutter, good friends of ours, of ESPN, and myself and Mike. So hello to them, and Happy New Year to them and their lovely family in Colorado.
You know everybody. Like, I don't know anybody
Palmer.
who's been on the cover of People, but you do. With these
Our
guys.
good friend Jesse Palmer.
Love Jesse
also
Palmer.
Hard at work.
Oh,
College
Jess.
football.
If I could have that stubble, I'd be out of this business in a heartbeat. You don't think?
I'm so glad that float is gone. It was lovely. That's your comment.
Would you like to listen to the Utawala?
Oh, I would.
Utawala High School band from Tennessee, their first parade appearance, a little suburb of Chattanooga. Let's let them play away, shall we?
Yes, let's. Well, we talked about how this parade is quite a labor of love. It's also a family tradition. Not only those who come, different generations taking time off to come here and decorate the floats year after year, but this man, Brad Ratliff, the Tournament of Roses president, and the son of the 1999 Tournament of Roses president, Dick Ratliff.
Long line in the Tournament of Roses, long line of UCLA Bruins. So he's had to, in all these things he's had to host, he's had to kind of stick up for his Bruins, and then kind of gets a little fight on, shouted down a bit by all the USC folks. And, you know, we see the band go by. I think if he could, he'd march with the bands today. He's a trumpet player. He loves to get out there, blow his horn, but it is Brad who's put together the Echoes of Success. As the president, he comes up with the theme, and he and his wife, Echoes of Success, for the 128th Rose Parade is what they decided would be a wonderful theme, celebrating people and organizations and institutions that play a part in the stories of success of others. And so that's sort of where he has been, and we have been at a couple events with him this week, and again, he's another one of these folks where we see the culmination today in the 364 days leading up to it, when these guys just work tirelessly.
He actually has to travel around the world and visit every single band, here today and help them raise money. Coming up, very innovative float. You'll want to see what we have at the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda.
We welcome you back to the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda. Colorado Boulevard, 364 days a year. That's just a main street here in Pasadena. One day a year, it is Main Street USA, Main Street the world, as everybody tunes in to watch the Rose Parade. 5.5 mile route, and they go at 2.5 miles an hour. Finally, a pace I can keep up with.
Hundreds of thousands. I mean, there have been estimates some years of up to 1 million people who camp out overnight just for a spot there on the sidewalks. Watch the parade.
And as long as you can get a view, all views are good views. The Cal Poly University's float, a new leaf, chameleons, beautiful, beautiful reptiles.
I like the eyes.
Eyes. We're watching. I know they don't blink. The eyes, they could be moving. And there's like 5,000 moving parts that these kids put together. Wooden dowels, fishing line. There's been a whole bunch of math that I was not privy to, so I can't show my work. But you've got the yellow one, and he's highlighted that mostly California grown, like 94% of this float, California grown, put together by these kids, these students. The yellow chameleon, his accents are lemons. When you go through, you see the green one. His accents are limes, and the purple one in the back, the accents are red onion. And originally the green was supposed to be the bigger one, but they use so many California flowers and they rely on what they can get from folks. So we had to make the yellow one the bigger one, and then we make the green one a little smaller.
That's math right there. Well done.
Near and dear to my heart right now, Pride of the Midwest, Pulaski High School Band, 15 miles from Green Bay, members of the Fox River Classic Conference, same as Green Bay Southwest. I hear on Wisconsin, you should hear it too. Sadly, our producer's cutting us down, or I would regale you with the history of the Ripley brothers who played basketball at Pulaski before going on to the University of Wisconsin Green Bay.
Deep Wisconsin.
For another day, we'll return with more coverage of the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda after this message and a word from your ABC stations.
Yesterday we took my kids to see some of the floats being built, and they just couldn't believe, there were people sitting there with split peas. You don't really understand how incredible this parade is and this event is and the volunteerism and the people that have passion for this event till you go watch them make a float. Piece, by petal, by bean, by seed. It was really incredible.
Grand Marshal Janet Evans describing it so well. As many as 10,000 man-hours used to decorate each float, and so much work by the 21 bands here as well, who have to earn every cent of what it takes to travel here, although these didn't have to travel far. This is the Los Angeles Unified School District All-District Honor Band, brass and percussion instruments, more than 350 students from right here in LA. Years here in the parade for the Unified School District Band, and celebrating a 100-year anniversary, the NHL, the National Hockey League, getting a lot of cheers from the crowd here. Woo! With those pyrotechnics, they love their hockey here. 3 teams in California, and there's a look at a crowd favorite, Luc Robitaille, member of the Hall of Fame, president of business operations for the LA Kings, highest scoring left wing in NHL history. The Kings, the Ducks, the Sharks, all of California's teams represented here. In fact, all 30 NHL teams. 23 of them in the U.S., 7 in Canada, and there's even a logo right there for number 31, the Vegas Golden Knights, will begin play next year. Their logo is on the float here. You can see all of the teams, each of them done in meticulously in seeds, and there's the new Vegas logo, and it's a lovely one.
Start next year, first professional franchise there in Vegas. St. Louis Blues.
All these kids who you see are from youth hockey in Southern California. I love seeing the boys and the girls there, all playing hockey and repping all the teams of the NHL. So happy anniversary to our friends there. By the way, the All-Star Game is going to be here in LA on January 29th. And this is Kaiser Permanente. 50 years of helping people grow, their 12th year in the parade. And this is the 50th anniversary of the Watts Counseling and Learning Center there at the intersection of Success and 103rd Street here in LA. And you see that tower, that's the iconic Watts Tower, created by hand, the real tower, from scrap metal, concrete, and found objects by the late sculptor Simon Rodia. Over the course of 3.5 decades, he built the tower from 1921 to 1954 using things like broken soda bottles and metal and clay, anything he could find to make these incredible mosaic structures, some of them held together by hangers. So it was quite a feat to try to duplicate that. The surface is actually lettuce seed, pumpkin seed accents. I think it's very Gaudi-esque. I love it. It's absolutely beautiful, as is the real thing. Again, so much innovative, not just floral beauty, but engineering. So much going into this. And for more, we go to a man who has covered this parade for over a quarter of a century. He knows all. John Neighbor.
Thank you so much, Hannah. It's very kind of you to say. I tell you, just like the Olympics, when a great performer comes along, it rises the standard for all to follow. And innovation is a very big part of that. It used to be animated floats were the exception, not the rule. Now we have smoke and fire and waterfalls. We've seen bungee jumpers and skateboarding dogs and even a guy in a jetpack. Well, still to come, we're going to see some great ones. Today already, we've seen in the Honda float that moving sculpture that was reminiscent of the Olympic cauldron in Rio. The Cal Poly students engineered a chameleon that should have been able to change its colors. I bet we're going to see that work real soon. We saw the Lucy Pet float, the largest, longest, and heaviest float in history. And still behind me is going to come a monster vehicle. It's going to raise its shell 30 feet to reveal a fun story little going on inside. It's already got me excited to look forward to next year's parade.
So John's telling us early to get ready to get on the bus when that comes through. Here's your national award winner. Best depiction of life in the USA, because who doesn't love pasta? Ragu pasta sauce simmered in tradition. The past, the present, the future. Reddest float in the parade, brought to us by Ragu on the 80th anniversary of the company. Starts off with the steaming hot plate of spaghetti and meatballs there at the front. In the middle, it's the Muller family. Family farmers from California's Central Valley. 3 generations they have grown tomatoes exclusively to be used in the Ragu sauces. And as you get all the way back, you get to the original owners, Assunta and Giovanni, their house where they sold their sauces right off the front porch.
John, question for you.
Yes?
How many actual tomatoes are on this float?
There are, by my count, and it's hard to miscount 0, there's 0. No real tomatoes. Too soft. I'm told they're difficult to glue.
One can imagine.
You can't spike them, you know? I mean, if you can throw them up at me if you don't like what I'm doing, then we might have some this way. Actually, what's kind of phenomenal about it is the color of the roses that are in here, because most roses that you would give, you know, your love, your spouse, are a deep red, which isn't quite what we want. We want a little brighter red, a little more spaghetti sauce red. So that's 17,000 Charlotte roses to provide that pure red tomato sauce looking color. Coming just behind, the Bands of America Honor Band, 300 members. They represent schools from 30 states, sort of based out of Indianapolis, but 30 states. Kids audition, they get picked for the band, and then they come here and they get to rehearse it just a couple of times, and then it's go time. Here's your gig. It's the Rose Parade. Bands out making that 5.5-mile march to their In-N-Out burger. More from the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda after this. More dogs, more water. They're not surfing, but they're great.
Welcome back to the 2017 Rose Parade presented by Honda. Hannah Storm, John Anderson, John Neighbor with you. And this is an award-winning float from China Airlines, winner of the International Award for the most beautiful float from outside of the United States, and certainly not the first award that they have won in their 3 decades here in the parade. Always a gorgeous, elegant float, and this celebrating the fascinating culture and beautiful island of Taiwan, which just incredible flora and fauna represented here by a garden filled with Taiwan lilies, 2 indigenous birds, the Mikado pheasant and Muller's barbet. The Muller's barbets, their name in Chinese means 5-colored bird. And in the back, the magnificent Mikado pheasants that you see. Considered the unofficial national bird of Taiwan, they actually appear on the nation's $1,000 bill, and there are only 10,000 of these birds in existence. They're native to the mountainous parts of Taiwan. Of course, the lilies there, they are decorated with white coconut, yellow straw flower, round split pea, and plenty of yellow roses. In fact, some 30,000 roses on this float. It's a requirement here, it being the Rose Parade, that there are roses on every single float. Again, just the cultural beauty there and the floral detail, always stunning from China Airlines.
It's almost like each one that goes by is the prettiest as you go by, you know. You see them and you're awed, and then the next one come by and you go, no, no, that's the one I like the best.
I know it's beautiful on television, but if you can see these floats up close and see the detail, you know, each of those beautiful flowers that we're seeing from a distance, taking so long to make. So much volunteerism, so many people coming together to celebrate New Year's and to help us all do that, albeit on January 2nd, including these musicians from the United States Air Force Total Force Band from 12 Air Force different units, Air Force celebrating its 70th anniversary in 2017. Also saw that mini jet team following the band, made up of volunteer airmen who take those little mini jet replicas to children's organizations. Generations of children and their parents have enjoyed the tale of a planet-hopping little prince and his beloved Rose. And now one very imaginative float designer brings the little prince's journey to life with a pair of spectacular floats, sure to transport us all to different worlds.
My name's John Ramirez, and I'm the float designer for Artistic Entertainment Services. My job was to design a float based on The Little Prince. It was easy because everyone knows and loves The Little Prince. And what I did this year was create two floats. We have computer-controlled sculpting tools, which captured the characters perfectly. The Rose and the Little Prince are elements that are slightly bigger than life, but I think that's the magic of a Rose Parade float. You can play with the different sizes and emphasize things that are important. On January 2nd, when everyone is looking at the float going by, I'm going to be the only person looking the opposite direction at the audience, seeing how they're enjoying the float. It's a satisfaction for me as a designer is seeing the faces of everyone as the float goes by, and it happens in a heartbeat.
Well, I don't think as it goes by live, he's going to lack for dramatic impact with the audience here in Pasadena. The Netflix float, Craftsman's trophy, exceptional showmanship, and dramatic impact, which is pretty much, I think, what he was going for. And he made it. The story of the Little Prince, the Netflix first ever float here in the Rose Parade, soar beyond imagination, the classic tale of the Little Prince. They had made that into an original animated movie last year. Here you see the front unit, clouds, blue iris, white carnations. Plane is decorated in cranberry seed and silver leaf, brown orange lentil. You see on the house's doors, we look closer at that. Kind of the window pane there, rice and black beans. See the little biplane, which you see a big one on top of it, but in the door, walnut shell, mix of spices to create that stone.
One of my favorite books, Le Petit Prince.
See, and I feel sort of illiterate as I did not read that as a child. I don't know if that deprived me or not, but I didn't, and I feel bad. And I will now, because I have children. I go, okay, kids, we got to read The Prince. But I did not, like I said, I feel like perhaps I've missed out on a piece there.
Well, that explains a lot.
That would change everything if I had seen The Little Prince.
Probably not.
We get Dr. Seuss in here. We're ready to go. Grove City High School Band, Grove City, Ohio. 84 members that play brass instruments, 43 percussion, 84 woodwinds, 10 banner carriers, 26 in the color guard, 3 drum majors. What are you laughing at now? What did I do now? Oh, the bus is up already.
So this is the Farmers Insurance Float, the one that John Neighbor was talking about. It's a technical marvel. This is the Grand Marshals Award for Excellence in Creative Concept and Design. Their theme is We Came, We Saw, We Covered. We've been waiting to see this. So this weighs 15 tons, by the way. This is a mobile claim center bus, which has risen 50 feet into the air to reveal some dogs having a pool party, possibly causing the kind of damage that could activate a farmer's insurance policy. That's actually from an original story of a house that was flooded, and they came back home to find the dogs.
The mermaids.
Really enjoying it. The mermaids.
They call them the mermaids.
Yeah, only here they're doing little synchronized swimming. Bit of a sense of humor here. And here goes the bus down. So again, this is a lot of fun. You can imagine what it took to decorate this huge bus. 10,000 pounds of rice. That's where the white color comes from. Ground and powdered in blenders and then glued to this structure.
I mean, to make it happen is marvelous. Because then we go, hey, we should have a bus. And then somebody has to actually make, like anybody can come up with the idea, but then to translate that into, okay, I think we can do a bus, which they did there at the Phoenix Decorating Company, is staggering to me.
30 feet wide, 55 feet long, and again, it raises and lowers, and it has to go under an underpass here on the roof. So you can imagine they're getting ready to do that a bit later on, but anything that is over a certain height actually has to be lowered to go under the overpass. So there are many such mechanisms, not all of them raising an entire extra large vehicle, however. 433,000 flowers, too, on this float. And in the back of the bus, there's a satellite dish, just for fun.
Has to be 18 feet to get under the bridges.
This bus, by the way, was built at the Rose Palace. This is the last year that they'll be building floats there for Phoenix. The Rose Palace famous for a different kind of bus with touring buses rolling in. Led Zeppelin played there, and Ike and Tina Turner and Santana. And they said there's a real vibe there in the Rose Palace that promotes creativity, and that's certainly in full evidence here today.
Roses and rock and roll. And now they're moving on.
And surfing dogs.
You said, I mean, who's got a better New Year's Day than us, even on the 2nd?
And it continues, the 2017 Rose Parade, presented by Honda.
My favorite part of the holidays is probably when my whole family reunites all together in my house to celebrate.
Every year we go to this like really nice neighborhood and we watch like a bunch of like Christmas lights. I guess it's kind of like a little tradition of ours.
I would like to build snowman, make snow angels, see all the decorations and lots of lights.
snowman like playing its hat to me.
This literally looks like one neighborhood I went through.
Oh, fireworks!
Oh, there's Santa.
No, Santa! Santa Claus just passed by.
Oh my gosh.
How does that happen?
That's so cool. Who's this guy?
It's cool. It was just awesome. I loved it.
The 2017 Rose Parade, presented by Honda and the all-new Honda Clarity Fuel Cell.
And we return one more time here at the 2017 Rose Parade, presented by Honda in Pasadena, California. Western Asset Management Company, Prosperity in the Wild, Director's Award winner, Outstanding Artistic Design and Floral Presentation, and Oasis for Animals in Danger, their theme, but today, all of them safe and happy. Leopards, bodies made of pale yellow mustard flower, white fine cut straw flower, white powdered rice, spots, light tan, fine walnut shell. Again, all of this hand, put on it by hand. There's a gorilla's face of brown coffee. There you take a look at the silverback. Body is gray, silver, and black buffalo grass. Tiger fur with white powdered rice, straw flower, white, yellow, and bronze. That's all magic colors as we go through this. 3 waterfalls, 3 tigers, and you can't count the oohs and ahs as it goes by. Everybody here today along the wreck of the Tri-Dot Islands of Orange Grove and Colorado.
But that is absolutely spectacular. And a fixture here at the Rose Parade, Wells Fargo opening an office in Pasadena in 1885 as part of the history here. Population back in those days was in the hundreds, and the Rose Parade was still 5 years in the future, delivering mail and banking services to the settlers and the miners. Wells Fargo, long history of supporting the American Red Cross. They've hired more than 6,300 veterans across all levels of the organization, and we're commended for that. And for the 3rd consecutive year, thinking of brave men and women of the U.S. military, both active duty and veterans, as we all remember them today for their selfless service here in the culmination of the Rose Parade.
From the city of Torrance, home to Louis Zapparini, comes through with the Be Your Own Night, wonderful float design, even better story. 5 high schools of Torrance, they come and all bring their ideas, and the winning idea this year, Be Your Own Night, came from a young woman, West High senior Lindsay Beckmeyer, who was on the float, and she is the knight because, as she wrote in her essay, fighting dragons is a long-standing metaphor for overcoming obstacles. With that in mind, increasing movement of girl power. Why should anyone have to play a damsel in distress when you can fight your own dragon?
I love that. That's a great thought to end on.
It's
right?
a great thought and a great great float from the city of Torrance.
And to our intrepid reporter here, John Neighbor, always down there on the street. What really struck you today?
You know, after running up the stairs, I was a little out of breath. I was touched by a lot of things. Of course, everybody carries cameras in their pockets now, so there's a lot of selfies going on. But the audience was applauding the floats as if they were performers, and I didn't see an umbrella in sight. Pasadenans, they are confident that the weather's going to hold up.
As someone is here in Pasadena, explain to me why you think it casts a spell every year over the whole country.
Well, when the rest of the country's shivering and cold, we're sitting there throwing flowers on TV. It's wonderful. And there's a tradition involved. There's a sense of history, a sense of belonging to the past, and there's the echoes of success. 128 parades means 127 of them went very well.
and so many people that volunteered so many hours to bring this to you today. Chief among them, a special thanks to Bill Flynn, the executive director of the Tournament of Roses for the last 3 decades, who is retiring. We appreciate everything he has done for us. Ed Corey, the chief operating officer, Gene Smith, the chairman of the TV and radio committee, and ABC liaisons, Sean Galt and Tom Munnerlin. On behalf of the Johns, Anderson and Neighbor, and our entire production team here at ABC, Happy New Year.
+1.